How a social media detox can erase a decade of brain damage. Welcome back to the Health Inquiry. Together, we take a sophisticated look at health and life. Today, we're examining something that touches every one of us: the constant digital tether of our smartphones and the quiet price it extracts from our attention, mood, and overall well-being. The average American spends about 4.5 to 5 hours on their phone daily, and even if someone's use is on the lower side of 2 to 3 hours per day, that still adds up to 1.5 months in a year not doing something else but being tethered to their phones. This creates a tremendous health problem for millions of Americans, including cognitive decline, especially the younger ones. We often joke that we're addicted to our devices. But what actually happens, biologically and psychologically, when we deliberately cut the cord? Two landmark 2025 studies finally give us causal evidence instead of mere correlation. One, published in PNAS Nexus, tested what happens when we block mobile internet on our phones for 2 weeks. The other, in JAMA Network Open, focused on young adults and a targeted 1-week social media detox. Together, they paint a remarkably consistent picture. Stepping away from constant connectivity can produce rapid, measurable improvements in mental health, emotional well-being, and even our ability to focus. Let's start with the PNAS Nexus experiment, which I consider one of the cleanest tests of the smartphone era to date. Researchers recruited 467 adults and used a mobile app called Freedom to block all mobile internet access, Wi-Fi and cellular data, for 2 weeks. Importantly, participants could still text and call, and they could still use the internet on laptops or desktops. The intervention isolated the single feature that makes a smartphone smart: portable, always available online connection. This was a pre-registered randomized controlled trial with a clever crossover design. One group blocked mobile internet immediately, T1, T2, while the delayed intervention group waited 2 weeks before doing the same, T2, T3. Compliance was tracked objectively by the app itself. Although only about 25% met the strict, compliant threshold of keeping the block active for at least 10 of 14 days, the researchers analyzed intention to treat effects across everyone who started the study. That makes the findings even more impressive. After just 2 weeks without mobile internet, participants showed clear gains across 3 pre-registered outcomes: subjective well-being, life satisfaction plus positive and negative affect, improved with a moderate effect size. Mental health, a composite of depression, anxiety, anger, personality function, and social anxiety, improved even more strongly. To put that in perspective, the reduction in depression symptoms alone exceeded the average benefit seen in meta-analyses of antidepressant medications. Objectively measured sustained attention, assessed with the gold standard gradual onset continuous performance task, GRAD-CPT, rose by roughly the same magnitude as the decline most people experience over an entire decade of aging. These benefits were replicated in the delayed group and persisted at least 2 weeks after the block ended for the first group. Experience sampling texts sent 4 times a week confirmed that mood climbed progressively during the intervention period. Why did this happen? The researchers used mediation analysis to trace the pathways. Blocking mobile internet freed up time that participants spent in the offline world, socializing in person, exercising, being in nature, pursuing hobbies, and reading physical books. They consumed less passive media overall. They reported feeling more socially connected, more in control of their own behavior, and they gained an extra quarter hour of sleep per night on average. Each of these changes, time use, social connection, self-control, and sleep, partially explained the gains in well-being and mental health. In other words, the phone wasn't just a distraction, it was quietly displacing the very activities that keep us human and healthy. Now let's turn to the JAMA Network Open study, which zeroed in on the 18 to 24 age group, precisely the demographic spending the most time on social platforms. Researchers enrolled 373 young adults and used digital phenotyping, passive smartphone sensors that tracked mobility, screen interaction, communication patterns, and daily ecological momentary assessments of mood and functioning. After a 2-week observational baseline, 79% of participants voluntarily chose a 1-week detox from 5 major apps: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and X. The results were strikingly specific. A single week without those platforms produced a 24.8% drop in depression symptoms, a 16.1% drop in anxiety, and a 14.5% drop in insomnia. Loneliness did not improve, which is telling. For many young people, these platforms still serve as a thin substitute for real-world connection. Interestingly, the total quantity of time spent on social media was only weakly linked to problems. What mattered far more was problematic engagement, negative social comparison, compulsive checking, and emotional dependence. The study therefore underscores a crucial distinction. It's not merely how long you scroll, but how the scrolling makes you feel. Taken together, these two studies complement each other beautifully. The PNAS trial shows that removing the broader, always-on internet portal benefits adults across the board. The JAMA trial demonstrates that even a short, targeted break from the most addictive social feeds can move the needle for the highest-risk group. Both move us beyond self-report bias by using objective tracking and validated cognitive tasks. Both reveal that the improvements are not trivial. They rival or exceed effects we usually associate with clinical interventions. From a researcher's perspective, the deeper lesson is about human design. We evolved in environments where information, entertainment, and social feedback were scarce and hard-won. Our brains are wired to chase novelty and social approval. Smartphones deliver both in unlimited, instantly gratifying doses. The result is a subtle but chronic drain on attention, emotional regulation, and the very behaviors, face-to-face contact, movement, rest, that evolved to keep us thriving. So what can we actually do with this evidence? You don't need to smash your phone or go off-grid. The data point to practical, low-friction experiments that anyone can run. First, try a dumb phone weekend, or even a single evening. Use the built-in focus or do not disturb modes on your iPhone or Android, or download an app like Freedom to block all internet-based apps while still allowing calls and texts. Many participants in the PNAS study reported that the first few days felt uncomfortable. By the end of week 2, they no longer missed the constant pings. Second, shift your monitoring mindset. Instead of obsessing over total screen time minutes, track how you feel during and after use. If you notice negative social comparison or a compulsive urge to refresh, that's your cue to close the app. The JAMA findings suggest this qualitative awareness may matter more than raw hours. Third, be deliberate about replacement. The PNAS mediation results are a roadmap. Schedule real-world socializing, a walk in nature, or an exercise session in the exact time slots you used to scroll. Protect sleep by charging your phone outside the bedroom. Small, consistent swaps compound quickly. Parents of teens and young adults may want to frame these experiments as shared family challenges rather than restrictions. Model the behavior yourself. The data show the benefits are largest when the intervention is voluntary and supported by real-life alternatives. We live in an attention economy that profits from keeping us hooked. These 2025 studies remind us that we still hold the off switch, and that using it, even briefly, can restore cognitive clarity, emotional balance, and a deeper sense of connection. The improvements appear within days and can outlast the intervention itself. That, to me, is the most hopeful message. Our brains are remarkably plastic. A short, intentional break from constant connectivity doesn't just reduce harm, it actively rebuilds the capacities that make life richer: focus, presence, genuine relationships. Thank you for joining me on the Health Inquiry. If this analysis resonated, share it with someone who might benefit from a digital breather. Drop a comment below. What's one small experiment you're willing to try this week? I read every one. Until next time, stay healthy, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the most powerful medicine is simply choosing to put the phone down. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the science and art of a healthy life. See you in the next episode.